Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start with our regular meeting. Today is Monday, April 15th, 2024. We'll now call the City Council regular meeting to order at 7:14 p.m. And we do have a quorum of council. Item number 3 is our pledge. It will be led by Elena Portis, our Assistant City Manager.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Elena. Item number 4, our presentation of recognition. We're going to go to 4A, is Missouri City Green Golden Tree Award. We have a presentation by the Missouri City Green. Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us here tonight. Usually, Paul, where's Vicky? I think with Pam leads this, but he asked me to come tonight. So the Golden Tree Award is something that was started probably about 10, 12 years ago, and a couple times a year we award businesses, civic organizations that, I need to actually, thank you. That demonstrate civic engagement and environmental leadership, and that may include making donations to organizations and to city events, doing native landscaping or promoting the use of landscaping and in the proper ways, volunteering for not just Missouri City Green events, but in general, volunteering in the community. And we, as a board, most of us are here, our board members, we discussed that we were so excited to see that Quail Valley Garden Club was once again doing their annual spring plant sale here on April 27th. And not just that, but we actually recognized y'all, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, because we are so impressed with the efforts that Quail Valley Garden Club does for the community. I actually said, I know a few of the things, but could you send me a list? I'm not going to read off every one of them, but I want to mention a few things that are very special for us. They do tree plantings for Arbor Day at various locations throughout the city. They maintain and beautify several parts of the city, including Ridgeview Park, which is a city park. It's a beautiful entrance there that they maintain and beautify. They have worked with us on the Edible Arbor Trail on many occasions, and at our most recent Edible Earth Fest, where we had hundreds of people. They had volunteers that staffed a couple different, you had like crossover. We were crossovers. And I love that we can support each other. And they also give a lot of scholarships to the community and do other support other community organizations besides us. But we just wanted to, we thought it was time again. It's they probably don't get the recognition they deserve for everything they do in our community, and not just Quail Valley, but across the community. So we wanted to present this to Quail Valley Garden Club tonight. Do you want to?
No. On behalf of the Quail Valley Garden Club, I'd like to thank everyone for this wonderful honor. And this is from our past members and our present members and all the things that we will be doing in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't forget, April 27th, they have a plant sale.
We're also having paper shredding that day.
All right, thank you.
If you're a business or an organization, you can submit a nomination too. So we want to see more out there. Thank you.
Go, Angie. All right. All right, thank you. Item number 4B is a proclamation. It is for National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. We have a presentation by District B Councilmember Jeffrey L. Boney.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Good.
Oh, come on, y'all can do better than that. How are you doing this evening? All right, wonderful. You waited on us to come out here, so you can get a little active with us and engaged. Stand up. First, I'd like to ask Assistant Chief Hurd, Justin Hurd, to come up, as well as Chief Partita, okay, Assistant Chief, come on up, both Assistant Chiefs. And also, are there any dispatchers here today? All right, any dispatchers, come on up, y'all. Let's give them a round of applause as they come up. Now, there are three numbers that in sharing them consecutively that we probably know, like we know our Social Security numbers. Which three numbers are those, y'all?
911.
Oh, come on, you know it. 911. If you're in trouble, if you have a need, whether it's our fire or our police or our paramedics, we're going to call what numbers?
911.
911. And so these individuals are the ones that when you call 911 here in Missouri City, they're the ones that make sure that they connect. They're the link between our your call and our paramedics, our police, and our fire. And so let's give them another round of applause because we're celebrating them on the night. So I have a proclamation that I would like to share, and then we can also have any of the chief or assistant chiefs share any words about our communicators. But whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the city of Missouri City have contributed to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the Missouri City Emergency Communications Center. And now, therefore, I, Jeffrey L. Boney, council member of Missouri City, Texas, on behalf of Mayor Robin J. Allicat and on behalf of the City Council and citizens of the City of Missouri City, do hereby proclaim that April the 14th through the 20th, 2024 is Public Safety Telecommunicators Week and recognize all public servants past and present. Let's give them a round of applause. And as I have any of the chiefs to share any words, I just want to say, it may have been about a year and a half, maybe two ago, that Chief Partita and our former police chief came to the city council and said that, look, hey, we're losing a lot of our good telecommunicators, a lot of our dispatchers, and we need you all's help. So they came and asked us for money to try to make sure that they got paid more. And did we do it? We did. We did. And so we were able to keep, maintain, and track some of the best and brightest. So thank you all for your service to Missouri City. You want to share anything?
I just want to say, well said. They are, we call them our silent heroes. They're the people behind the radios that are in constant communication with our police and fire and paramedics. And so we just want to honor them all week and thank them for their service.
I'll echo that and also add to it that Missouri City has a custom of always being the best and trying to do the best we can. And I can say that everyone that works in our dispatch center, they really, really do their best. And we're very lucky to have you all because they take pride in what they do. And that goes a very long ways, and they keep us safe each and every day, all of us. So it's just great to be able to recognize the people who don't typically get recognition. They truly deserve it, and we really appreciate you all.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say much more. What I can say is I recently had a conversation with some chiefs and firemen from other agencies that come and help us on fires and stuff, and they echo the same thing. They love coming to Missouri City, unfortunately, because they know we have one of the best dispatcher in the area. So thank you.
No. All right. I was told to recognize Sonia Lopez Clausen with 911, who is here. If you could just stand and they'd be recognized. Let's give her a round of applause. She's here in support of our telecommunicators. You want to say anything?
Well, I would like to say with Greater Harris County 911, we provide the 911 technology, and we are, I wanted to be sure that you all know that you can take pride to know that Missouri City is one of our agencies that is using the most advanced technology for 911 and for your other responders for police and fire and medical help. So we are very proud of the work that they're doing, and we're proud to call them our first responders. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Well, thank you, Councilmember Boney. I think I forgot to mention this to him. He and I always talk about, we love it when citizens call us, and we're so open and accessible to you. But when you have an emergency, do not call us. We may not pick up. They're the one that's picking up those calls. So we are definitely appreciative of them. All right. Number 5, our public comments. City Secretary, as we have a request, as she calls your name down, and I know that last time we had some of this technicality or so. We have clocks that are here that, like, as you can see, as you're presenting the time, when it comes down to 0, that's your time is out. So as you come up to the podium, please state your name, your address, and then go ahead with your presentation. All right, thank you.
Okay. So in order for us to be effective and move this along, I will call you, several of you up to the podium. If you'll please follow a single file line behind the podium, please. Ahmad Kukar, Kashut Chanam, Daniel Sudini, Noreen Mohammed, Eddie Sahid, Amina Isha. Please state your name and address for the record, and please adhere to the 3-minute time limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Amjad Koker. I live at 66 Big Trail. Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
It was just a month ago when I stood here with you, brimming with pride for our city, a beacon of diversity and strength. And today, it's my privilege to address you once more. When we came before you last time, our petition for human rights had 150 signatures. We now have 900 signatures on our petition. An African proverb says, if you think one person cannot make a difference, remember the mosquito buzzing away in your bed. This simple truth reminds us of the individual's power to affect change, much like each decision this council makes. Our city's diversity binds us to the world's collective history, including its injustices. We have not forgotten the struggles against oppression of Native Americans, the horrors of slavery, the injustices of Jim Crow, the internment of Japanese Americans, the lynching of the Nelsons in Oklahoma, the Tuskegee experiments, and wars fought on false pretense. Today, that historical thread continues with the Israel-Gaza conflict, where children are facing starvation and the denial of basic human rights. We are not observers in history. We are participants in the making of it. We have a few speakers who, in the next few minutes, will bring to light these modern-day injustices. It is with hope and a commitment to justice for all that I call upon the Council to consider a permanent ceasefire resolution, affirming our city's dedication to humanity's highest ideals. Thank you for your dedication to the citizens of Missouri City, and thank you for embodying the values that make us strong.
Thank you.
My name is Daniel Siddiqui, address 5303 Daly Way Lane. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished City Council members, today our hearts are burdened by the staggering losses that emerge from conflict zones like Gaza, where countless lives are lost and impacted in endless cycle of violence. Recent reports highlight the grave reality. Thousands of civilians, including over 5,000 children, have been impacted severely by the ongoing hostilities. As Missouri City stands united in its diversity and strength, let us extend our commitment to those who suffer afar. Our advocacy for a ceasefire is not a political statement, but a plea for humility and for humanity. A call to protect the innocent and prevent further atrocities. It is our duty to ensure that no child is deprived of a future, no woman is stripped of her dignity, and no community is left to suffer in silence. Some of the stats here, there has been at least 34,000 people killed, including more than 13,800 children, 8,400 women, and more than 76,000 people injured. And this is just for Gaza, and missing more than 8,000 people. Looking at West Bank, 465 people have been killed, 118 among them were children, more than 4,750 injured. And if we look at Israel, 1,139 people have been reported who were killed, and at least 8,730 people who were injured. Both sides have lost a lot of innocent lives. Let's put our effort together to pass the ceasefire resolution and make our contribution as a proud resident of Missouri City. By supporting a permanent ceasefire, we uphold the principle of international humanitarian law, emphasizing our underlying stance against the starvation and suffering of innocent people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kashif Chauhan. I'm at 66 Big Trail, Missouri City. Dear council members and esteemed mayor, I would like to continue by saying that our discussion today transcends local concerns, touching on the essence of our humanity. It is a reflection of our values and role we aspire to play on the world stage. The data speaks volumes. Millions are at the brink of starvation, with essential supplies being blocked, and basic human rights are continuously violated. Our resolution is a clarion call for peace and affirmation of our global responsibility. It demonstrates our commitment to human rights and our refusal to be passive observers on this global suffering. By advocating for ceasefire, we not only voice our support for ending violence, but also for initiating crucial humanitarian aid. Let this be the moment Missouri City exemplifies global leadership, advocating for policies that foster peace and respect for human life everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Noreen at 215 Kirkwood Court. I'd love if you could give me a thumbs up if you love our educators. I was hoping for a lot more thumbs up than that. I have been an educator in Missouri City for the past 5 years, and I am here on behalf of every racially and religiously diverse student I have ever taught, who has wondered if their life is worth the same as the student next to them. What precedent are we setting in our diverse city when we don't show outrage over the biggest human rights crises of our time and not take a stance against it? What do people who look like me or any of you internalize when they witness selective outrage and selective morality? How will we stand up for human rights in Missouri City if we still have to debate who deserves to be considered human? I wake up to images of children with limbs blown off their bodies, skin melting off their faces from illegal white phosphorus bombs, to starving children who are surviving on boiled grass and animal feed. I see my students' faces in them. I see kids who wanted Spider-Man for their birthday or wanted to play soccer someday. Will we not do something so that they can actually have the chance to? Please support an immediate ceasefire resolution. Please support humanity over politics. You are the representatives of a very diverse city. Do not make silence and inaction your legacy. Stand up for the children of the world today so that there is a precedence to stand up for the children of our city tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I had prepared comments, but they've pretty much summed up everything so beautifully, especially you. Thank you so much for speaking. I just want to plea, guys. I want Missouri City to say that, you know, we're not afraid to stand up and call right versus wrong. You know, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Starving children, starving a whole population, that's wrong. You know, killing innocent women and children, regardless of who's right in the conflict or wrong in the conflict, is wrong. We should be able to stand up for what's right, no matter where wrong occurs. You know, I happen to know some of you personally. I'm a proud member of our community. I'm politically active. I'm active in my community, and I'm here with a lot of people that have joined me. We have over 900 signatures and counting. We intend on having thousands of signatures on this thing. We want Missouri City to lead the way. We don't want it to be second or third when they join in on the resolution. We want you to lead the way because we see in you mirror reflections of us. I settled in Missouri City. I settled in Fort Bend County because this is the most diverse county in all of the United States of America. I've been a resident of it since 1991. I'm a product of it. I would like to see my elected leaders, my city council, stand for what's right. Please take this resolution as a serious consideration, a serious plea from your community, from the citizens of this city and its surrounding environments as well, saying that we want our elected officials to stand next to us and say, we're proud to say that we can stand with the right and the just. Injustice anywhere is not okay. It's not acceptable. We can stand by or we can speak up. For me, I'll always speak up in the face of injustice. And I would like that from my leadership as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your, sir.
Do I start? Okay. Hello, my name is Amina Ishaq. I'm here today as a licensed clinical social worker and mental health provider for so many in Fort Bend County. I'm here today to ask you to recognize the human rights atrocities that are taking place as we speak in Gaza. I'm here to ask you all, as our local elected officials, to stand with women, children, and innocent men who are being starved to death because of a man-made famine. I'm here today for a young special needs boy whose name was Yazan Qafarna, who was starved to death this past month, just like so many other children. I'm here for the over 104 innocent civilians who were killed while waiting all night to get their children food, but were bombed strategically as they ran to get their food aid in the Flower Massacre. I'm here for little 12-year-old Ahmed, who ran over 8 miles barefoot because he saw food aid being dropped from the sky. He wanted to live and get food for his little siblings because he was now the man of the house. His father was killed. Your very own constituents here in Missouri City are being affected by the humanitarian crisis taking place. The mental health of so many people watching little children being starved and killed all over the world is taking a toll on your constituents here in Missouri City. Missouri City is filled with individuals from all over the world, and their loved ones and family members are at the center of this crisis. Please follow in the footsteps of Fort Bend County Commissioner Dexter McCoy, who recognized the humanitarian crisis with his proclamation that he gave to us at Maryam Islamic Center on the last Friday in Ramadan that recognizes Land Day. He stood with humanity. He stood with the indigenous people's right to self-determination and freedom. We know you can stand with humanity and call for a lasting, permanent ceasefire that will eradicate the loss of innocent lives. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cumberland, Bob David, Rosalind Harrell, Sharon Harris. Please state your name and address for the record, and please adhere to the 3-minute time limit.
Cumberland first.
Cumberland?
On behalf of me, my neighbor will be taking over.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Question for the city council members. How many of you have been trained on the city's comprehensive plan? None of you? Because if you read the comprehensive plan, all 160 pages of it, says the first thing you should be doing before you implement anything from the comprehensive plan is city council members, city staff, anyone involved in a zoning decision should be trained on multiple programs in the city's comprehensive plan. Everything I'm about to read to you comes directly from it, and so I think it'd be good to educate you and everyone else here, all of our other residents, what's really going on in Missouri City. The plan says a healthy economic development environment is fostered not only by incentives a city provides, but also by the goals, policies, and regulations by which the city operates. A business-friendly environment does not mean that the city allows development to overrun them, but rather it's an environment in which development regulations are consistent with its goals, development regulations are administered fairly, consistently, most importantly, with common sense. We haven't been doing that. Mayor, thank you for bringing attention to this comprehensive plan. I have a lot of experience dealing with economic development for cities, so I've gotten to dig into it quite a bit. And one thing that really came to my attention is the potential impact, economic impact of the 4 corridors that are planned in the city. The 4 corridors, if they reach their potential, have a sales tax range of $1.5 to $1.9 million for the city annually if it reaches that. Pretty good. We have a development that's proposed that is set to go to vote for on May that is saying that it alone is going to bring a 35% sales tax increase to the city. If you do the math, where we are currently, we're at about $15 million in sales tax revenue right now. You're looking at a $5 million increase in sales tax revenue from one portion of one of these 4 areas that you're looking to develop. I've done economic impact reports before. I did one for Space Center Houston, the #1 tourism attraction in the region. 1.3 million visitors, 70% of those are coming from out of town. Know what its economic impact is a year? $120 million. Know what this data says that you're claiming that development's economic impact is going to be? $500 million. You're saying the economic impact is going to be 4 times higher than what you have planned for the rest of the city. You're getting bad data. Who's ever giving it to you should answer for that data. Citizens shouldn't be having to point that out. Someone that's putting that data in front of you should not be responsible for having input on the commercial development that's going into the city.
Sir, before you take your seat, please state your name and address for the record.
Thomas Wright, 4611 Creek Point Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it on? Thank you, councilmen and women, and thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Bob David, 4511 Creek Point Lane, Missouri City. And last week, April 8th, Mayor, you mentioned about the transparency that you guys use for us being able to speak or hear you and you hearing us. Last week, you guys last minute pulled off the agenda for our thing that we're interested in, right? Where's the transparency? How are we supposed to stay on top of this if we are not just randomly showing up? How are we supposed to follow along and voice our petition to let our concerns be known if last minute you guys are pulling things from off the agenda? I just don't understand that part. Transparency is huge. Comprehensive plan was the biggest takeaway from last week's meeting, and I want to be a part of that. I want our voices to be heard. And I don't know I want to know how do we do that? How do our voices get heard if all we are doing is just coming up here in the meetings for 3 minutes? Is that it? Is that the only way for our voices to be heard? The future usage of that land mass that we're talking about, the western side of Knight Road and the Watts Plantation right in front of our property, it has to be, I think, left in the zoning that it is, so that we're not fighting. If it gets changed to commercial, we're going to be fighting a whole different battle. I think if it's left in rural residential, we have a little less fighting to do, and something hopefully conducive to what is already there can be placed. I would love to see it become just a nice green space, which we don't have so much of anymore. I would love for that to be green space, protecting our wildlife and so forth. But more than anything, we want to be a part of the comprehensive plan. We are absolutely against the hotel event center. It just takes away from what is already there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rosalind Harrell, and I live in the estates of Silver Ridge. My address is 4511 Pine Landing Drive. Council, you have previously heard from me and my neighbors about the concerns we have with the rezoning of the property on Knight Road from SD to PDLC3. The council should reject the current rezoning application because there are so many unknowns. For example, there has been no traffic impact study, there has been no drainage study, and there are gaps in the decisions as currently indicated by staff during the April 8th meeting. And while I would like council to vote to reject the rezoning of the property to PDLC3, I do not believe that you will take such bold action. I have learned a lot during my involvement in the process. I now have clarity and understand that we as citizens must become more active in the early stages of the development process around our community. So this brings me to my questions. What is being proposed for the land in front of the estates? Who are the developers requesting to build in that area? What stage is the proposed development? Will the developers have to seek rezoning approval from the council? Is it another PDLC3 project? Councilman Emery, You are our representative. We need to hear more from you. I want you to advocate for us, the homeowners, and keep us informed about what is happening in the areas around the estates. Additionally, as a community, we want to be involved in the discussions regarding updates to the city's comprehensive plan. As I understand from Ms. Gomez's comments during the April 8th meeting, special meeting, the comprehensive plan will be revised. We want to participate in that revision process. We want to review it, we want to look at the amendments, and we want to be involved in any updates. How do we make this happen? You can and should do better in keeping your constituents informed and involved through all processes and stages of the development. What I seek is to avoid finding out what is being proposed for my community when notices are sent out to homeowners or there's a posting in the Fort Bend Independent paper. I'm reaching out to you, all of you, but especially you, Councilman Emery, and putting you on notice that we expect to have a seat at the table. We want to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Sharon Harris. I live at 4535 Pine Landing in the estates of Silver Ridge. Next month, for my husband and I, we have been in this community for 21 years. We've seen a lot of homeowners come and go, a lot of progress in Missouri City, which is fine. I'm all for progress. But this particular project is not right. And I'm speaking from my heart. You've heard all the other statistics and all this other stuff. I cannot believe that the area, the green, the earth is being subjugated to this just because somebody wants to put up a hotel. We have hotels in Missouri City. We have eateries in Missouri City. What we don't have of, a lot more trees. I have property, and when I first moved here, I had herds of deer. The other day, I have 3, and the mother is pregnant. It's just unfounded to me that everybody is okay with cutting down trees for progress and doing this, that, and the other. But what are we leaving for the kids behind? I don't have any grandkids. My son is 39 years old. But I like sitting on my patio, listening to the birds, listening for the red-tailed hawks, listening for the crows, and especially paying attention to the feral hogs that pass through my backyard. It's just amazing when you can connect in the quiet and have the sun on you and the wind blowing and just understand what's going on. Progress is progress, but being connected on a spiritual level, that takes a lot of work. And I've worked through it. And this is not what I need in my life right now. I'm retired. I love my house. I love my neighbors. And we are connected. So don't do this, please. It's a travesty, period. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saman Abogatra, Saman Dharma, Madan Luthra. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Saman Aberadna, and I live in 4427 Pine Landing Drive. I'm living in Missouri City since 1993. I moved to the state of Silver Ridge in 2007. I have 2 children, and both of them went to Missouri City School and graduated from UT Macomb School of Business. They both work in the leading business firms. I would like to present my objection to proposed development next to our subdivision. This development is right behind my house. It's about maybe 15 feet away. If you come and you can see it. This land that you are proposing to develop is a wetland, and it gets flooded every storm. I will give a good example. During Hurricane Harvey, this area was like a lake with several feet of water, and my house was barely escaped from the flood. The flooding lasted several days, and because backwater coming from the Brazos River and from a bayou and filling up in the area. And as far as I was able to say, Knight Road was underwater, and same way was Highway 6. Highway 6 in several areas was not passable. There were several cars underwater in Highway 6. I have pictures to prove everything I say. The proposed structures are going to increase the flooding because the whole area is going to be raised by about 3 feet, and 75% of the area going to be covered with concrete. So where the water is going to go? The developers are proposing retention ponds. Those ponds are not adequate and cannot accommodate that much of water. I can give an example. For example, in Siena Plantation, okay, has the best levee system in the nation, but some of the houses went underwater. Okay, those ponds that they are proposing is not going to work. Okay, you as City Council, you are supposed to solve our problems, but creating problems for us, making our lives miserable. Creating problems are very easy, but solving problems are very hard. I ask you to be problem solvers, please, not creators. Finally, I would like to ask you, if our houses get flooded from a new hurricane, who is going to pay for the damage? Would you feel responsible? What if it's going to happen to you? How you are going to feel about it? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you. My name is Dama Beratna. My address is 4427 Pine Landing Drive, Missouri City. And I'm here to voice my concerns also regarding the new development next to my neighborhood, right literally on my backyard. I'm self-made. I came to the United States as a student with a big dream. I accomplished my goal. I earned my PhD. I found success in oil and gas industry. I'm retired now, but I have my own consulting firm. I have been a resident of Missouri City over 30 years. We raised 2 children in Missouri City. They received primary education in Missouri City and are both successful young professionals now. We made our home in the lovely luxury estates of Silver Ridge since 2007. This is a peaceful, family-friendly neighborhood. We have young families with small children running around, and also seniors like us who invested our lifelong earnings to settle in a safe, serene environment away from the busy city. And we lived here happily all these years until recently, the shocking news, they're going to rezone our backyard to a PD to develop an event center and a hotel, literally in my backyard. And if this proposal gets approved, we will suffer tremendously. Our safety, our security, our privacy will all be jeopardized. This safe area will become prone to crime. And I was able to raise my family safely in this area. So what about the young families in my neighborhood? If this one go through, and they won't be able to give the safe childhood that I gave to my kids. That's not right. That's not fair. What about value of my home? This is my investment of my lifelong earnings. Having a noisy party place and a hotel in my backyard, that will reduce my value of my home. And why would you want to do that to one of your residents? And I read all your profiles. It was nice, very refreshing. The message I got was, all of you want to work with residents. You want to advocate for residents and find balanced solutions. You want to listen to our concerns. This is all from your profiles. You want to maintain safety. That's a big concern for us. You want to do the best for your people.
Ma'am, that concludes your 3 minutes.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm just asking you, pleading you, do the right thing. Please don't vote for this. There's so much land along major highways.
That concludes your 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Madan Luthra, and Honorable Mayor, respectable councilmen, councilperson, council ladies, I have high regards for all of you, as I have mentioned before as well, that you are sacrificing a lot for the community service. You have to stand in a very tough positions many times. You don't know which way to go. Your conscience might say, do this, but your position might say, do this. Your colleagues might say, do this. Your future might say, do this. But believe me, we all have same consciousness. There's no difference whether I'm a doctor, whether somebody is a plumber, no difference. So, having said that, we all have a human life that we want to live in a natural way, in a good, earning, conscious way. And as you can see, I have lived in Missouri City more than 40 years now. I raised my kids in Quail Valley. I have seen ups and downs, but at the same time, we found a nice place about 20 years ago, which is Estates of Silver Ridge. When city was struggling for being productive, being not progressive and all that, we have maintained a tax base, a real estate tax base. Even the city could not afford to give us any utilities. We were able to put our own wells and so forth. And that has created such a beautiful, harmonious place to live. And city is now progressing basis of what we brought to the table of city. We are requesting humbly that there is plenty of concrete is coming behind our home in Estate of Silver Ridge with the development what is going on. Please leave this portion as a nice trees, green buffer that has been there, zoned at this point in time, a residential place. There are many residential projects can be brought in. There will be many investors who will come and really help you out. Please do not change the zoning. Make it so commercial that to a point that we will not able to live in the way we used to live in last 20 years. It's a humble request to all of you that please cooperate with us and try the best you can. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, that does conclude public comments.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Rabona.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I just had a question, really a request of the city manager based off of some of the comments made, just to provide factual information for clarity's sake. Relative to the item being pulled off the last agenda, can you speak to who or why that item was pulled, maybe city secretary or city manager?
I'll take a stab at it first, but I think primarily the issue was pulled to allow council to have more time to receive information, as well as to allow the developer to try to respond to some of the issues that have been raised by the community.
So was the developer actually had that item removed from the agenda?
I'm sure it's a staff response to just trying to get more information, as well as identify all the concerns so that we could address those concerns adequately.
Just a few more quick questions. Is this a city-owned property?
No, it's not.
Okay, and is this a city-owned proposed development or a city proposed development?
No, it's not. Normally, it's at the request of the property owner or the developer that has, they in this case, the developer is doing due diligence in terms of whether the property will work for them or not. And as such, they are requesting a rezoning because of the current designation it is. So with that, that follows the normal process. They will come in, present their information first to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then once Planning and Zoning takes an action, that gets referred to council for action. And please, City Attorney, you can weigh in anytime you want to, because I'm at a very high level and you can jump in.
Sure. My recommendation would be to wait. This matter will be before the council at a later date. There's also an executive session that will occur later on this evening as well. So that explanation of the city's policy as it relates to reviewing zoning is fine, but my recommendation would be to wait until this item is fully posted.
Yeah. Councilmember Boney, you all right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I did know that we were discussing this and it was on the agenda, 12A, and so that's why I wanted to, in lieu of some of the things that were stated or
sure, no problem.
So, thank you.
And I'm not going to make any comments about this, but I do wanted to add something to it. When we have public comments that are spoken here, when people use transparency and all these other words, if somebody is from the office of your office or city attorney's office, or somebody is going to get back to them about what the comments that they heard or the questions that they had, because otherwise we can't speak to them.
Right.
Because it's not an agenda item. So I would hope that, when someone come up here and say that they didn't get the notice or they didn't get this, I'm sure that's why we ask them to speak their name and their address, so this way we have that information, readily available to us. So when they're asking about stuff, I would hope that we are responding back to them on whatever the issue was. So this way that we don't just, to Councilmember Boney's point, that we're not responding to them.
Right. And I understand that, and we are in the process of implementing a procedure to do just that.
Absolutely.
So that we can try to capture the name of the speakers and either thank them for their comments or respond back with something to address the comment in terms of factual information.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 6, our staff report. 6A is the city manager report. Go ahead, city manager.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, I want to provide an overview on the consent items, starting with item B. This item is to enable the developer to enter into an agreement with the Sienna Parks and Levee Improvement District to guarantee the installation of the Bees Creek Section 30 sidewalk that abuts McKeever Road. The current grading does not allow for safe installation of the sidewalk, and this section does not currently connect to any adjacent development. So this will create a guarantee that the work will be completed at a future date. Item C was pulled because additional financial review needs to be completed, and you will see that item come back before you at a later date. And then item D, this item would authorize a contract to Econolite for $100,000 for not to exceed amount of $100,000. Econolite provides repairs to the city's traffic signal infrastructure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Move on to item 7 on the consent agenda, 7A, 7B, and 7D, because 7C was removed at the request of the staff. So is there a motion? I see that there's been a motion by Councilmember Boney, seconded by Councilmember Maroulis, and seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
Member Emery? The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Item number 8, our public hearing and related actions. 8A, 1 is a public hearing to receive comments for or against amending the development and planning schedule of fees related to fire permits and fees. We have a presentation by our fire chief, Mario Partida. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, if we can open the public comments, please,
oh,
for the
hold
public
that.
hearing.
Hold that. We'll now go ahead and open the public hearing for item 8A1. City Secretary, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. No further comments. We'll now go ahead and close the public hearing for 8A1. 8A2.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Missouri City, Texas, approving and adopting the development and planning schedule of fees, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and making certain findings relating thereto.
Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I do not have a presentation. The 2021 International Building and Fire Codes were adopted on February 19th of this year. The codes go into effect May 1st, 2024, and this resolution is for the associated fees that go with the adoption of that code.
Okay. We have Councilmember Riley, recognizing Councilmember Riley.
Chief, with the new fees that are going into effect, there's an upcoming meeting about these particular, are these the fees that you guys are going to be talking about at the upcoming meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Wednesday, this Wednesday, we have a open house to not only share some information on the updated fees, but any significant changes, specific to Missouri City, as well as an opportunity for developers, building owners, installers to meet with actual inspectors and inspectors in person to ask any questions they might have related to the fees or the inspections.
How were you able to notify contractors and the people that should be in this particular meeting, since some of them probably don't live here?
Yes, ma'am. We have our communications department has been helping with advertising the open house, as well as over the years we've had a list of contacts that we've built, and we've emailed blast all our lists, as well as I believe Development Service has as well.
Okay, and my last question, is it an open public meeting where residents can attend if they have contractors, they're going to do work to their house, or, is it open to the public?
Yes, ma'am, it's open to the public.
Okay.
And it's more of an open house, so there'll be a presentation and tables for Development Services, as well as the Fire Marshal's office for them to visit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. So we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser, seconded by Councilmember Riley. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Item number 8A3, our public hearing to receive comments for or against a request to adopt an ordinance continuing Article 6 of the Chapter 74 of the Missouri City Code, continuing the rules and regulations pertaining to the standards of care for certain elementary age recreation programs operated by the City of Missouri City. I'll now go ahead and open the public hearing for 8A3. City Secretary, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor, there are no comments.
Okay, if there are no further comments, we'll now go ahead and close the public hearing for item 8A3. And moving on to item 8A4.
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, continuing Article 7 of Chapter 74 of the Missouri City Code, continuing the rules and regulations pertaining to the standards of care for certain elementary age recreation programs operated by the City of Missouri City, providing for repeal and providing for severability.
All right, thank you. We have a presentation by Danielle Stewart, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
This is our ordinance to continue our standards of care, which will allow us to operate our seasonal and our day camp programs. The city has renewed this ordinance annually since 2010, with the most recent update being in 2019. So this is a continuation of the previous 3 years ordinance, which allows for our staff safety outlines, our parent manual outlines, as well as our safety protocols for staffing while they're in camp.
All right. Thank you. I see a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser, seconded by Councilmember Emery. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote. All right, thank you. 8B1, which is a zoning and public hearing and an ordinance. Public hearing is to receive comments for or against a request by Crossing at Sienna Ranch 2023 Interest Ltd. to amend the rules and restrictions to allow for a proposed restaurant with drive-through facility on an approximate 1.63 acre tract, and to the extent such zoning deviates from in the future land use and character map of the comprehensive plan, to provide for an amendment therefor. PD, which is a Plan Development District number 35, is located to the north of the Gulf Coast Water Authority Canal and Sienna Acreage Estates, south of Waterbrook West, east of Silver Ridge, and west of Sienna Village of Beast Creek. The 1.63 acre tract for the proposed restaurant with the drive-through facility is located at the northwestern corner of the Sienna Ranch Road and Sienna Parkway intersection. I will now go ahead and open the public hearing for item 8B1. City Secretary, do we have any comments to speak? Anyone signed up?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
Okay, if there's no further comments, we'll now go ahead and.
I didn't see a sign-up sheet out there.
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not. We did not receive a sign-in sheet. We did have the forms that were placed out front, and we also had the Deputy City Secretary that was out helping with those to sign in, and I did not receive a form for this item.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. If there's no further comments, there's no one else signed up for this, that I'll now go ahead and close the public hearing for item 8B1. Item 8B2.
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, amending regulations in PD Plan Development District number 35, consisting of an 89.25 acre tract of land, describing said 89.25 acre tract of land, regulating and restricting the use, size, height, and density of buildings within such plan development district, referencing site plans applicable to said district, providing for certain construction according to said plans, providing for an amendment to the comprehensive plan, providing for repeal, providing a penalty, providing for severability, and containing other provisions relating to the subject.
Thank you. We have a presentation by our planner, Grace. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, I lost it.
8B2.
There you go. Okay. So the applicant has submitted a request for an amendment to 1.63 acres of this PD number 35 to allow for a restaurant with a drive-through. The location is near Sienna Ranch Road and Sienna Parkway. PD number 35 currently contains LC2 retail developments along with 3 churches and a school. The applicant has provided a drive-through queuing analysis memo. The memo provides additional information on stacking that's built into their design. Stacking refers to the number of vehicles that can functionally be stored at one time at this site. The design provides space for approximately 20 vehicles in the drive-through area and 39 parking spaces. Connectivity to the site is going to be done via the driveway access points that are already there, and it's going to connect to private roads and contain all of their vehicle traffic so that there's no spillover on the main roads of Sienna Parkway or Sienna Ranch Road. We provided notices on March 1st to all of the property owners within PD number 35. We also provided notices to property owners in the buffer zone surrounding PD number 35. We posted a sign also on March 1st on the site, and this was presented to to the Planning and Zoning Commission on March 13th, and they have provided a positive recommendation for this request.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that presentation. I'm looking for any motion. Anyone? Okay. We have a question by Councilmember Merlos, recognizing you.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some questions around the queuing. First of all, really good analysis memo through the drive-through. Can you put the map back up? Sashi, this might be for you, buddy. So it's hard to point out, but we have Sienna Parkway where traffic's going to come in and enter into this point, right? And then you're going to have a drive-through that wraps around the building, and then these people will be exiting. I'm concerned about a choke point up here. So we have a gas station at Colonial Lakes and Highway 6 right now with the same type of entry point. And what happens is people who are coming in and coming out always just don't get it right. And so the way this is set up, it really is set up to where there's really one exit, although they have two exits. The feed really forces its way to go back out. And I'm concerned with that little bottleneck up there, and I was just curious if there's any other way we can maybe change the direction of that so that the people can have two options. And I know there's two, but it doesn't, for somebody to come out here, exit, and go that way, it's not going to happen as often as it'll go that way. So is there another way we can look at this for better exits?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So one of the things we have done here is knowing the sensitivity. This is just a 1.63 acre tract.
Right.
Knowing Sienna and the sensitivity to traffic, my team asked for a traffic impact analysis. So the key thing with any drive-through restaurants like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A is the stacking. So what the applicant has proposed and what's in the TIA is the stacking length double than what is required. The last thing we want is the traffic backing up into the major corridors, which is Sienna Parkway, the north-south corridor, which is aligned here, and Sienna Ranch. Now, the access for this development is not coming off those main roads. It's coming from an existing private streets. So the stacking is adequate enough that it stays within the stacking lane, not even spilling out into the private roads. So we don't see an issue with it because coming from Sienna, it's going to be a right in and a right out. There's no median opening there. So the traffic can go only southbound. On the access here on Sienna Ranch going westbound is also right in, right out. So to answer your question, we don't see an issue here because the stacking length that's provided internally is more than adequate to handle the projected volume of traffic. However, the applicant is here as part of the site development process. We can see other options to see we can provide not only one point of access out of the development, but another point of access south onto Sienna Ranch as well.
Yeah, and then the other point is that you have handicap right here. Mm-hmm. So everyone's going to be coming out, and then you've got handicaps there, which is probably not a good space to put handicap parking.
That's more for the applicant. I think this is a PD amendment case, but as and when we are looking at the site plan, we'll see if there are options to realign this and reconfigure this.
Okay, I'll let others speak, and then we'll have the applicant come up.
You can have the applicant come up now.
Applicant, come up.
I think, Mr. Peter Jacob, are you the applicant? Yes, the applicant is here.
Yeah, can you ask him to come up?
Would you please?
I got all flummoxed because, I just, I forgot that sometimes I'm able to come up here and speak and not necessarily part of the public, but I just wanted to make sure. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for seeing me. My name is Peter Jacob. I am my partnership owns that particular tract. We developed all of the 17, 18 acres that was in that area over the past 20 some odd years. I remember coming here several times when we were developing that and working through the platting process. This is our last tract. We saved the best for last. And there were our restrictions on there. I mean, you would never see, one of the things that we were prohibited from doing is a filling station. That was something that was not even in the ability to do that in the PD. We always envisioned that it was going to be one of two things. It was either going to wind up being a quick service type restaurant or a retail shopping center. Right now, retail shopping centers, there's just a lot of them. I own several up and down Highway 6, and needless to say, we're starting to see some attrition in the leasing aspects. So to come in and try to redevelop this as a retail shopping center, we saw a number of challenges. We did the Beast Creek Market across the way from there, a little bit further down. That's kind of gone through a little bit of a transition. We did the H-E-B at the front of Sienna. All of that we developed back in 2016, 2017. Anyway, getting back to this particular site, we were approached by McDonald's on this site. We knew that there were some hurdles that we would have to overcome as far as design. Obviously, Councilman Margulis, mentioned the traffic. McDonald's has gone through, and I think it may have been part of your package, as far as the traffic queuing and the projected number of vehicles that would be coming into this particular unit. I think that the data showed that the stacking as it was laid out, being double lane and then filtering into one, proved to be very adequate, similar to what some of the planning and zoning commissioners asked with regards to the Chick-fil-A. And this is somewhat modeled after that. It doesn't have 3 lanes, as we see up and down Highway 6, but it does have the 2 lanes to be able to accommodate the traffic that we think is going to be generated from this particular location. As Grace had indicated, the entrances to the site are already in place. Those were all part of the overall development. Obviously, there really won't be any additional entrance or exits on Sienna Parkway. That would just cause an absolute mess. So, there's a possibility, maybe another one on Sienna Ranch, but I think you've got distance issues right there. When we platted this and we designed it, we met with all of the development requirements. So McDonald's has been, very proactive in this. There were, obviously, the change or the requested change in the PD with regards to drive-through was something that was at the top of the list to try to make it work. The site is typically a lot larger than what you find, but we have tremendous setbacks along Sienna Parkway and Sienna Ranch. So that was a big challenge to be able to fit the site, still meeting those particular requirements. We think that, McDonald's is a good developer use for this site. I do want to make one change or a modification. At the planning and zoning, I think if you read in there, I had mentioned that this was going to be a corporate store. I was corrected. McDonald's develops it. The McDonald's owns the real estate, but what they do is it's a franchisee, correct? A franchisee that will be operating it. So I just wanted to clarify that because I read it in there, and afterwards, she slapped my hand and said, "No, that's not the case." So anyway, I wanted to come clean on that. So as far as making any real modifications, I think the site is, works. I think we can maybe talk to, McDonald's if the handicap is a real issue. If you have concern about that, there's possibly some other ways. They try to keep it away from, where the drive-through is and the cars are exiting. So I would leave it, I'm going to kind of turn to McDonald's on that aspect of it and see if it's an issue, try to see if we can address it at that point.
I wasn't concerned about the queuing. I mean, the stacking is awesome.
Okay.
The 2 points that I brought up is the handicap, right?
Right.
So again, if you come out of that exit, you're going one way.
Yeah.
And chances of somebody wanting to go left to exit out the back right are less than the ones that go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to want to enter in on Sienna Parkway,
yes,
which is a freeway. So I'm just concerned about that little bubble there.
Mm-hmm.
I see it every day at a gas station near my home.
Okay.
So is there a way to create an exit where people actually have 2 good exits instead of one that really drives? I really think most people would take this and not go left. So is there a way to change it to where people have 2 paths? And so the split is 50-50. Because you're going to get a lot of inflow off of Sienna Parkway, guaranteed.
Right.
And then the way it's designed, you're going to have a lot of exits coming out on the same exit.
one thing that comes to mind, and I'm just thinking kind of outside the box here, possibly making that a write-in only. In other words, you can't exit out that site. That's going to be a McDonald's call. If there is a real concern about that. I mean, I've seen that before. I've done that in some other developments. Specifically, the development that I did at Pebble Creek at Highway 6 and Oilfield Road. We have a write-in only on Highway 6, and anybody that wants to get back onto Highway 6 going south can go through the Kelsey-Seybold, or what they do is they'll go around and get onto Oilfield Road and then make a left on Oilfield to get, onto Highway 6, either north or south at that particular intersection. So that might be, an alternative that we have, is to just make it a write-in only.
Okay. Well, my last comment is thank you for not making it a gas station. Thank you for not, just thinking through it, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll let the mayor or whoever's next in the queue to speak next.
Yeah, I mean, I put myself in there just to let my colleagues know. I'm trying to make a point is that I can walk there. A lot of people in our neighborhood were opposed to it. But understanding that it could have been a gas station, or it could have been something that we didn't want. If you look at Sienna Facebook page, there's I would say about 200 some comments that's against McDonald's.
Really?
Right.
Okay,
and
yeah.
And let me finish.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with McDonald's itself. They wanted something more better.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted Chick-fil-A. So I said, well, Chick-fil-A, you got one up front, and there's another one that's coming. So I get it. I get the idea of what you're trying to do. And then, of course, there's conversations around traffic, in and out. Going into those doctor's offices is in the back.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it through the back area, there's a cut in
Right.
to this. And, of course, Harvest
Market.
Harvest is right there, Harvest
Mm-hmm.
Market. So this would fluctuate some of the things that we're talking about. But we understand that as a city, this property is not going to sit there. Whether you own it or you sold it to somebody else, something is going to come up here.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, as I sit here and make the decision, I hear the people. I hear that they want a drive-through of a coffee shop. I mean, there's 100 different comments in here.
Right.
But for me, my job is to make sure that I'd rather see something that comes there that can benefit the community versus something that people probably don't want to see coming. I mean, I think if it was up to it, it would have been a sit-down restaurant is what people are all chiming towards it, But I get it that this is what's coming. But the driveway comments that I want to make that, I'm just worried about the same conversation that he had talked about. If people cut left going towards a shopping center, not towards Sienna Parkway, I believe that you'll have, Shashi, that you'll have a traffic jam trying to get out on the back end and then trying to go onto the Sienna Ranch Road. If people are making a right turn, I think that's fine. It's a short drive anyway. But if you're today you can make a left back onto Sienna Ranch and then try to get onto Sienna Parkway. I think there's something that needs to be looked at to make sure that it doesn't cause even more traffic. I know you don't want driveways on Sienna Ranch or Sienna Parkway to avoid the free flow. But I think you're going to cause, it's going to be even a bigger issue. So I'd like to hear from you as to, was there any thought that was around that parking in the back?
Mayor, our number one primary objective here is not to cause traffic to back up on the major corridors, Sienna Parkway and Sienna Ranch. That is the number one intent because that are the major corridors we don't want to cause delay here. I see what you're telling us is traffic is exiting north and trying to make a right, and if they're trying to make a left, then it presents a conflict. So through the site development plan process, we'll see if we can work out that one and try to make it a right-in only. But again, as I said, I think that involves discussion with their vendor or the client, McDonald's, to do that. But that was our primary objective, and that's why we asked for a TIA, knowing the sensitivity of the Sienna Parkway corridor, but we'll work on it and see what can be done.
Right.
And the other thing is we do not want to move the driveway on Sienna Ranch closer to the Sienna Parkway intersection. That creates even more problems. So we want to keep this driveway far, and we want to try to keep that only right-in only. So those are the constraints we have. And the other constraint we have is we are lining up this driveway for this proposed McDonald's across the driveway, which is already there on the north.
Right.
So we can't move it further west. That creates another conflict. But we'll see what can be done. But that's how we arrived at this solution.
Sure. Let me just, it's not a question. I know you're aware of that particular signal, which has that school. I mean, not the school daycare.
Correct.
So, and that's all I'm trying to say is now you're putting more, and then you have adjacent to this, literally across, there's that new church being built. So that's going to fluctuate even more cars, and you have Bain School. That evening it's already backed up. So I would hope that all of this was gone into this thought process
In that
to create that.
Yeah, in that sense, we don't want to put more traffic on Sienna Ranch Road because you have Bain School traffic coming there. You would rather put it on this side because you don't have the school. So we got to work the best possible solution. There may be room for some improvement, and we'll do our best.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. So we have a motion by Councilmember Brown Marshall, seconded by Councilmember Riley. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
Mayor, if I'm sorry. If you don't mind, I'd like to state my motion, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I make a motion that we do move forward with this particular project pending the outcome of the suggested traffic and directional outcomes of the parking and exits and entrances, something like that.
Joyce.
So my understanding, based on Shashi's comments, was that that would occur at the platting stage and site development stage. Is that correct?
So, Joyce, correct me if I'm stepping out of my bounds. The current action item in front of council is to provide a variance in the PD for a driveway restaurant. That's not allowed in the current PD. But we went an extra step and asked for a TIA to make sure that we don't have negative traffic impacts. I believe what the motion the council is approving is to allow for a restaurant with a driveway access. But the actual configuration of the driveway and the spacing and the left turn and the right turn will be worked out through the site plan process. But what the council, I understand the motion they are approving is to allow a restaurant with a driveway. So
is that?
I am fine with that particular motion as long as it is understood that if it does not work, this will not move forward. That's where I'm trying to go.
So, and we can, if you all would like to go back into
Oh, God.
yes, an executive session, we can do that. But the item on the table is the zoning ordinance for the land use.
Okay.
So approval would be for the land use.
Okay.
If you would like to require the adoption of a site plan for this particular tract, you all could do that, but it would need to come back on second reading for final approval with a worked out site plan for the actual use.
Okay. So my motion would be that we would accept the land use to have the drive-through, but I would like to have the opportunity for the site plan, at least on the second reading.
Okay, so that's the motion on the table, but I have two council members that signed up. So let me go to Councilmember Boney.
Yeah, so it's my understanding we're amending a current PD, correct?
Correct.
And so as part of that PD, don't we have the ability to dictate what that PD consists of? And so I think that's what the councilwoman is seeking to do as part of her motion. So I guess what I want to make sure is that we're not, parsing hairs here, that we really are clear of what her motion is and that we have the power as council to dictate what we want that to look like.
So you all do have the power as council pursuant to Section 8 in the zoning ordinance to adopt site plans with zoning ordinances. Okay. So what my recommendation was, and I think the council member agreed, is that you all would approve it on first reading with the amendment of a site plan which will be presented at the next meeting, that shows the layout of the stacking and the driveways.
That's my motion.
Would that also, does that speak to your,
That's fine.
no, I mean your handicap parking
Yeah,
concern?
that was brought up.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. I guess, does Grace
Yes.
and Shashi understands what the motion is?
Yes,
You do,
we will
right?
work with the developer to incorporate the relocation of the ADA compliant parking spaces and to figure out the traffic concerns brought up by council. We'll provide that in the site concept plan that we'll attach to the next reading of this item.
Yeah, and use that 7-Eleven as a reference point because this intersection resembles that.
Got it.
Do you know which 7-Eleven?
He said on,
Colonial Lakes and 6.
we got it.
All right. Colonial Lakes and 6. All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Brown Marshall. Who is?
You.
Clear the queue. I'm not. All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Brown Marshall, seconded by Councilmember Riley. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item 9 are ordinances 9A.
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, reducing the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the City of Missouri City, Texas, pursuant to Section 42.105 of the Texas Local Government Code by releasing approximately 4.98 acres of land located west of the intersection of LJ Parkway and Hagerson Road, providing for repeal and providing for severability. Good evening again, Mayor and members of council. This item is an ordinance that is being brought to you pursuant to Senate Bill 2038, which was passed in the last legislative session. That bill purportedly authorizes landowners to request the release of their land from the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. There is currently a case pending in Central Texas related to this matter. However, this is being brought to you pursuant to that law to give you the opportunity to act. If you all do not act, the state law provides that the area will be released by operation of law. But again, this law is currently being contested, so that matter could change, or the validity of that law could change. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so if this law is being contested, then what are you asking us to do?
Right, so you all can take action on this item if you would like.
Okay. All right. There's a motion by Councilmember Boney. Is there a second? There's been a second by Councilmember Emery. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
You're in the queue.
Again.
All right, let's go ahead and vote.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Can you state the motion for clarity? I'm trying to understand.
Sonia's in the queue now, too.
Councilmember Boney.
The motion is basically to take action on this ordinance consenting to the reduction of the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Missouri City, Texas, as read here on the agenda. And I know, we can vote yea or nay on this item.
Councilmember Brown Marshall.
Joyce, I just had one question.
Can you clear that?
Is this similar to
partial
what we
vote.
had a brief discussion on a week
Please
or
clear
so
the
ago?
vote.
This is the item that we spoke about, I believe, at the last council meeting, that you all were provided with additional information in a closed session.
So I have some questions in regards to the information that you provided to us in the closed executive session, but I'd really like to get that clarification inside of another closed executive session.
Okay.
Is there? Okay.
Is that a motion?
Hold on.
I apologize. I'm lighting up
No,
executive
that's okay.
sessions tonight.
So is there a
That was my
motion
motion.
to us to take this back?
It sounded like there was a motion by Councilmember Brown Marshall and a second by Councilmember Riley to go into a closed session pursuant to Section 551.071 to discuss item 9A.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Is that your second? All right, can you do a roll call?
I can. Mayor Ellicott?
Yes.
Member Brown Marshall?
Yes.
Member Mayor Pro Tem Clauser?
Yes.
Member Riley? Yes. Member Boney? Yes. Member Morales?
Yes.
Member Emery?
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously.
All right, we'll be back.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I'd like to also, since we're going to close executive session, can we also take up item 12A while we're in closed executive session?
It's a separate motion.
I'll second your motion.
Oh, we got to go back for that.
So, motion by Councilmember Boney, seconded by Councilmember Brown Marshall. Can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Ellicott? Member Brown Marshall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clauser?
Yes.
Member Riley? Member Boney? Member Morales?
Yes.
Member Emery? The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you all. We'll be back. Okay, the time is 9:46 p.m. City Council will now reconvene into the regular meeting, 9:46. And we're going back to 9A, correct, E. Joyce?
Yes.
Okay, so can you read that one more time?
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, reducing the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the City of Missouri City, Texas pursuant to Section 42.105 of the Texas Local Government Code by releasing approximately 4.98 acres of land located west of the intersection of LJ Parkway and Hackerson Road, providing for repeal and providing for severability.
Okay. Is that your motion? Okay, so there's been a motion by Councilmember Boney, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion fails 0-7.
Okay, thank you. Item 9B.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Missouri City, Texas, adopting a new pay plan for full-time non-exempt personnel and exempt personnel, excluding civil service personnel and police personnel and appointed employees, providing an effective date, providing for repeal, and providing for severability.
All right, thank you. We have a presentation by Elena Portis, our Assistant City Manager. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Good evening.
Okay. In May of 2023, a salary study was presented to City Council adopting new pay plans for civil service and non-civil service employees. An in-depth presentation on the study's methodology was completed at that time. During the presentation, it was mentioned that due to available funding, the city would need to take a phased approach to ensure it remains competitive in the market. The phase one, which was adopted last year, cost approximately $4 million, of which $2.4 was budgeted in fiscal year 2023. $1.6 million was budgeted in this fiscal year. We have also budgeted an additional $1.1 to continue to move out into the competitive range. In 2023, the pay plans were adjusted to the 50th percentile of the market. Tonight's item focuses on the 60th percentile, utilizing the 2023 salary data. The 60th percentile for non-civil service increases the pay ranges 2.7 to 2.8%. This means the minimum, mid, and max salaries in the ranges have increased. The estimated annual cost is approximately $793,000, with a prorated cost of approximately $335,000 for fiscal year 2024. This is the DBM for non-civil service, showing the current salaries and new. The lowest salary within the city's pay structure moves from $33,488 to $34,488. for 10. And as you see, this is the difference between the different levels, so 2.8 and 2.7 throughout the pay band. Although the pay ranges increased by 2.7 to 2.8%, employee pay increases will be based on class parity, with all non-civil service employees employed before November 5th, 2023, receiving at least a 3% increase. The class parity methodology is the same one that was used last year, where it takes into account the employees' number of years within the position and where they would be at within that salary range. The next steps, if approved, is to have a second reading of the ordinance in a special meeting. I believe it may be scheduled for April 22nd. The implementation date is May 5th, and upon final approval, employees will see increases on their May 24th paycheck. Available for any questions you may have.
The mayor had to step out, so I will be taking over the meeting and presiding. Councilmember Boney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Question, City Manager, relative and/or Elena. You mentioned, if you can go back one slide, two slides. Okay, here it says that all employee market increases that are below 3% will be adjusted to ensure all non-service employees, whatever, will receive at least a 3% increase. But in the previous slides, it says 2.8 and 2.7%. So where are we on that? How are we making that determination? And at what point would we see you all potentially coming back to us again to make these potential adjustments?
Well, and I think part of it is what you're seeing in terms of the 2.7 and 2.8 has to do with the DBMs, and that just sets the ranges for those. If you're looking, see those DBMs, that's what's determined those ranges. But the actual pay is determined by time in service and experience. So those could be higher than the 3%. And so what we're saying is that regardless of where the ranges are, that sets the limits. But based on experience and time in the position, employees will see more than that. But if they don't have the time or experience, and the range is of a nature that it doesn't give them a 3% increase, then the lowest you will see for non-civil service is a 3% increase.
And who will be making that determination and when? At what point?
That's being made now with HR is evaluating all the DBMs, and I've asked department directors to look at all their positions to determine what DBMs those positions should fall in based on the skill, based on the experience, and based on the requirements. And so as a result of that, people will be placed in various DBMs to commensurate with what they should be paid for their skill set.
And lastly, just for the sake of the public, what does DBM stand for so that they're aware?
Turn that over to
It stands for Decision Band Method, which is the method for our pay structure.
Recognizing Councilmember Brown Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I guess my question comes more so as to at what point in time do we finally get to the end of implementing these raises, if you will?
Given the market and given what we're seeing with our recruitments, this is going to continue as long as we have an employee market.
So do you ever at some point in time see that the budget will not even allow something
That's
like this?
quite possible, and at that point, before we get to that point, I would be coming to council to state that given our anticipated revenue and given what it costs to hire qualified staff, then we're going to have to make some decisions about the service level that we can offer.
Okay, and that's fair. And this will be my last question, Mayor Pro Tem. I totally agree with getting our staff brought up to a speed of competitiveness. It just seems to me that as we continue to go down this road, when do we ever get to the point of giving raises based on not, merit or
On performance?
On performance.
Yes.
Because at the rate that we're currently in, we're going to forever be giving it based on we're not up to market.
Right. And that's the challenge of being in this market, quite frankly, because what happens in the case now is we have employees that we're trying to hire that are in similar bands as existing employees. And so when we bring those employees in at what the market is dictating for us to get qualified people, then that makes us reevaluate or have to reevaluate all the other positions that are in those related classifications. And so until at some point, when we see an abundance of employees that are looking for employment and the city, it goes out of the employee market to more of an organization market, then we're going to constantly have this challenge of trying to hire the best and the brightest. And the other piece of that, though, that we will be looking at is how to ensure that we're setting accountability and value added and all of that in place so that it's not just across the board increase, but being able to document that you've been here, but what value are you adding? Mm-hmm. And having that equate to more of the DBMs that they're placed in so that it's not automatic.
Mm-hmm. Are we seeing our retention improve?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Hearing from Council Member Emery.
Yeah, I think you answered most of the questions that I had as far as we're going to continue to see that we're competitive and that we can retain people with this increase in the pay scale. And so at this point, are we going to continue to see that we're able to attract new people into our positions and that we can, slow down any retirement or elimination,
I would like to hope that we can do that, and it's not just pay, but we try to look at it holistically in terms of the environment. What are we doing as a city to match personal goals as well as business goals? And we're going to really have to get more creative, because long gone are the days that people come to government and stay there till retirement. That just doesn't happen as often as it used to happen. And so we've got to figure out ways to increase productivity, look for alternative technology, for example. How do we incorporate technology, job sharing, everything that you can probably think of, that we're going to have to start looking at some of those options and hopefully address it, because we're not going to be able to continue to afford the level of staff that we need, as well as being able to pay them what the current market is dictating.
Do you see us moving to a performance measurement that dictates increases in pay?
I would like to, but that requires having people that are willing to have those tough conversations about performance and about accountability. And what I've seen in my experience is it's very seldom that you get someone who is going to be adamant about evaluating performance based on value added. And what you get is someone who says you're operating at a standard level, and therefore, because no one wants to make the decision that someone's not going to get a performance merit pay. I mean, it's very difficult for a lot of people to have to make that decision. And so having a performance-based or merit-based system usually is skewed, because what you have, still you have some of the same influences in that process. If you don't like your supervisor, or you don't, your employee has a bad attitude, or all of those things weigh in on that evaluation. And so trying to take all of that out just makes it extremely difficult to have someone sit down and evaluate employees and give candid and honest feedback. I don't say it's impossible, but I found it, in my experience, to be very difficult.
Well, in my experience, I also found it very difficult that you can get a true assessment of what someone's performance is for various number of reasons why.
Absolutely.
So it's a great goal to shoot for.
I would love it.
But I think at some point in time, we're going to have to.
I agree.
Because, we just can't just say, okay, you've been here a year and it's time for another increase, so you get it. I know that may be harsh, but, we should be performance-based.
I understand.
Thank you. Recognizing Councilmember Boney.
Yeah, one final question relative to, I think it was on the first slide or first or second slide, but I'm assuming that you anticipated this was going to happen and it's a part of the 24 budget, right?
Yes.
And how much actually did we dedicate?
1.3 million total.
1.3. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no one else on the queue, is there a motion? Calling for a motion. It's been a motion by Councilmember Boney, seconded by Councilmember Merula. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you. Item number 9C.
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, amending the Civil Service Implementation Ordinance of the City of Missouri City, providing certain amendments related to base pay and seniority pay, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and containing other provisions related thereto.
Okay. Leah?
Okay. And this item is for civil service. As mentioned, within the fiscal year 2024 budget, funds were appropriated to pay for salary increases with an effective date of May 5th in hopes of remaining within the competitive range. But on a future slide, sort of as we've discussed, you'll see how the targets for police and fire are moving. The pay plan for police officers increases 4.4%, with the average pay increase being 5.5%. The pay plan for fire increases 2.4%, with the average pay increase being 4.57%. The total estimated annual cost for civil service increase is $995,000, with a prorated cost of approximately $421,000. When the pay plan was approved in 2023, Missouri City had the highest starting salary for police and fire in the region. But here you can see this has changed. The City of Missouri City starting salary for police officer is currently $65,237, which was the highest at that time last year, and it's now the lowest. You can see Rosenberg is at $66,019, so you see that this target is constantly moving. Changing the pay plan will bring the city's starting salary for police officers above the median of the presented cities, very close to Fulshear, which is just $220 higher. The firefighter's starting salary is currently $60,484, which is one of the lowest. And this is just in some of the Fort Bend cities, those that are presented on the slide. With the pay plan change, the city will be at the median with Rosenberg. Stafford isn't shown on this slide, but we do have information there. Firefighter salary is currently $53,416, so we will still be at the median. Similar to last year, placement in the pay plan will be based on time and job and is presented as a separate item tonight under resolutions as far as their placement. Again, the next step is to have the second reading of the ordinance if it's approved tonight, which would be later this month. Implementation, again, is also May 5th, 2024, with employees seeing increases on their paycheck May 24th of 2024. And that ends my presentation.
Well, thank you, Elena. I do want to go back to that slide hold on, go slow. Yeah, right there. So when it says overall change in pay plan for 4.4% for police officers, and then the fire is 2.4. And what's the variation difference?
It's all based on the salary study that was completed last year. We had the consultant do the 50th through the 70th percentiles, and so we use the information that they have. As far as the differences, the police officers, when you look at last year and this year, their total increase was approximately 20%, including this 4%, and it's the same for fire. Fire received a higher amount, I believe, last year. But they're both, over the last 2 years, are at approximately 20% increase.
Okay, so this is yearly market driven, right?
Yes.
So, and I'm sure the police officers are probably a harder to fill positions. So that's what driving that, to 4.4. And not to say that fire is easy to fill, but it's also something that is not as difficult as the officers to get. I would assume that that's why the almost 2-point variations.
And if I may add to that, I would say that what the changes in Houston and what they're paying their firefighters has changed the whole playing field as it relates to firefighters now. So, because we're seeing higher pay in the other jurisdictions that followed us, significantly higher in some cases where we were at the top for fire. And the other thing, which is what I mentioned before, this is an employee market. And for those hard-to-fill positions, especially police, every time one jurisdiction increases, the others will follow after and increase even more. Right. So it's just a continuous process of trying to stay somewhere near the top and ensuring all the other things that employees value are being addressed as well.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. I see we have a motion by Councilmember Boney, seconded by Councilmember Marulla. Seeing no one else in the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
I didn't want to interrupt the vote.
No, I'm sorry.
But one last thing, in order to implement this by May the 5th, we will need to have a special meeting, that special meeting on the 22nd, to ensure that we can have the second reading before this needs to be implemented. Or some other date, something before the 5th.
Before May 5th, right?
Before May 5th.
Okay. We'll work together. Okay. So, besides the vote today, we need one more.
Yes, one more.
All right. Let's go ahead and vote, Adams.
Member Brown Marshall, Member Emery? Thank you. The motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10 are resolutions. 10A.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Missouri City, Texas, establishing a policy to address certain inquiries related to matters that may be referred to other agencies, providing for repeal, providing for severability, and making certain findings related thereto. This item relates to the conversation that the council had with appointees related to certain duties. This resolution provides for the staff to refer individuals that are requesting information and requesting items that are outside of the council's general authority to the appropriate federal and state authorities that may be able to address some of their concerns. So again, this resolution simply directs staff to assist residents who have requests that fall outside of this council's jurisdiction to refer, that allow staff or direct staff to refer those individuals to other state or federal agencies.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion? Yes. Recognizing Councilmember Riley.
Can you elaborate on what the other agencies are?
Sure. They could be federal officials. They could be U.S. senators. They could be congresspeople. They could be federal agencies such as the Department of Housing and Urban Development. They could be the U.S. Secretary of State's office. It just depends on the request from the public.
Whatever the request is from the public is something that's outside of our purview and our jurisdiction is what you're referring to.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Brown Marshall.
Thank you. E. Joyce, I thank you so much for putting this together for us. This was something that that kind of keeps coming before us, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you. Instead of us being silent, we're not. Thank you.
Okay. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser, seconded by Councilmember Emery. And seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10B.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Missouri City, Texas, authorizing the assignment of an agreement by and between the City of Missouri City, Texas, and McDonald's Real Estate Company pertaining to the facade improvement program to Golden Dreams Management, Inc.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is an assignment of payment from McDonald's Corporation to the local owner and operator, Kevin Moore of Golden Dreams Management, the responsible party who paid for the actual improvements.
Okay. Recognizing Mayor Pro Tem Clauser.
Yes, Herman, if you will just provide some context around what this payment is for the public.
Yeah, the payment is for specifically parking lot, irrigation, lighting, and landscaping.
For improvements on an already existing McDonald's.
Yes,
McDonald's is
but not the building itself. The building they paid for themselves. The brand new building was paid for with their own monies. Right. So I wanted to delineate between that.
right. Just wanted the public to know that. Okay, thank you.
All right, so there's been a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser, seconded by Councilmember Maroulis. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item 10C.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Missouri City, Texas, converting the pay provisions for each individual firefighter and police officer to the newly adopted civil service step pay matrix.
Okay, thank you, Elena.
Okay, just briefly, this item places the civil service employees, firefighters, and police officers into their respective steps based on the new step pay matrix that will be adopted hopefully adopted on the second reading. And this is with an effective date of May 5th, 2024. The resolution also reserves the City Council's right to modify, freeze, or eliminate the step pay matrix, which includes base and seniority pays, and reserves the City Council's right to add, eliminate, or adjust other pays, including longevity and supplemental pays.
Okay. Asking for motion. There's been a motion by Councilmember Riley, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Clauser. Seeing no one else on the queue, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 11, our City Council announcement. We'll go ahead and start off with the large council member of position 1, Sonia Brown Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a long night. I wanted to thank the city manager for putting on the joint city council and planning and zoning commission meeting. It was productive, I believe. It was good to hear their perspectives and to get in some of our very own. So I was glad that that did happen. It had been a long time, so I'm looking forward to having more of them as well. Had an opportunity to go over and visit the Houston Growth Forum. It's a luncheon that was held over in the city of Houston, but what was interesting about it is that they do invite the local spoke arms, other cities around to visit, and we had a great discussion in regards to disaster recovery, and it was also moderated by Francisco Sanchez Jr. of the SBA out of the Washington, D.C. area. So it was extremely resilient to hear his comments and about how they are prepared in the event that a disaster should strike, how they are planning to keep small businesses moving forward. So encourage that any information that can be sent back over to City of Missouri City so that we ourselves can be prepared should something like that happen to keep our small business moving forward. I just want to thank all of the residents out in Estates of Silver Ridge and all of the neighboring communities that have issued comments to us. I am circling back around and doing my best to read every last email that I have received, return telephone calls that I have received, and I am reading them. And so thank you. Thank you for those responses. We will get those. I'm going to do my best to get all of them responded to. Lastly, I had an opportunity last week to appear on Culture Club HTX. It's a radio segment that's aired over on ESPN Radio. It was a lot of fun. Got an opportunity to tell our story, the city of Missouri City story. And so it's out there, it's available, and luckily it's even in a podcast form, so it'll live on forever. Those are my comments. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Recognizing council member of a large position 2 and Mayor Pro Tem Lynn Clausen.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Happy Tax Day to everybody. Hope everybody got their taxes in today. Filed that extension. I also, too, want to thank the residents of Silver Ridge who have continued to come back and also who have sent us emails. I, too, have read all of them and tried to respond to each and every one of them. So we thank you all for participating in the process and just being here and be present. On Friday, around 10 o'clock, I joined my sorority sisters, the Missouri City chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, over in District A. My sorority sisters planted 38 trees, East Hampton Circle and Katy Avenue. And I want to give a huge shout out to Paul Weersbicky and the forestry crew. The weather was beautiful, and we definitely beautified for the upcoming Earth Day. The Small Business Advisory Committee came together, and we did our very first community service event on Saturday at the Missouri City TX Trash Off in conjunction with the Missouri City Green Team. We adopted the community park, and together we all picked up 12 bags of trash in our beautiful park. Please, 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 when you're in the parks, they're beautiful. Keep them beautiful. Put the trash in the trash. But it was nice to see the Small Business Advisory Committee come together and do a community service effort. Myself and Mayor Ellicott and also Parks and Rec employee Dennis spoke at the Children's Earth Day Festival right after the trash off at the Mullally Greater Houston chapter event in Stafford. And after the event, we watched them plant trees and plants outside of their building. And then I was inspired to go to Home Depot and buy a bunch of plants and flowers and plant them. Never done that at my house, but I did. So my daughter and I also attended the Missouri City Police Department's Child Abuse Prevention Festival on Saturday. And I want to give a shout out to our officer, DJ Elias, who doubles as a DJ. He's a pretty good one. He was spinning on the ones and twos, and he did a great job. So we had a great time. The weather was beautiful, and lots of different agencies were out there for the festival. So thank you all for putting that on. And lastly, we welcomed and swore in new Small Business Advisory Committee members, 4 of them, at our meeting. I want to thank Herman and Garrett for their continued support with the committee. We've got a lot of wonderful things planned, including our Kidpreneur Camp that's going to happen again in June. And April 30th is our next Small Business Mixer. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8 at the Texas Legal Brewing Company on Pike Road, and it'll be sponsored by First State Bank. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Recognizing District A Councilmember Monica Riley.
Thank you. I, too, attended the PD and fire department's child abuse prevention awareness event. Charlotte and I, we go every year. We love it. Thank you so much, DJ Elias, for the wonderful music that you provided. You even got me out there doing a 1-2 step at my old age. Attended quite a few HOA meetings throughout my district, meeting with a lot of different residents privately as well, just dealing with some different concerns. I want to encourage all of our residents to remember that your pets, especially your dogs, should be on a leash when they're out there in the public to keep everyone safe. We've had some incidents and want to make sure that everyone knows that I too try to keep Rocco inside because, as y'all know, Rocco is popular and he likes to run wild at times, but we keep him contained as well. Had an opportunity to attend the Ridgeview Park dedication, the tree dedication with Councilmember Emery and Councilmember Boney. Thank you to CenterPoint for donating those trees. As well as making sure that keeping our green space looking green. Our Texas Parkway Cartway Corridor is going very well with our meetings, the progress that we're making throughout that corridor as well. So thank you to Herman and Garrett for always putting that meeting on for us. Want to say thank you to Mohed Nahid, who hosted a Eid dinner in his home. It was very beautiful. Thank you for the invitation. Congratulations to the Cinderella event that took place at the Wells Fargo. Judge Rollins and Beverly Walker, District Clerk, hosted for our community members. And I want to send a condolences out to Fort Bend County Precinct 2, Constable Darrell Smith's office at the loss of Corporal Day, as we know him as Day Day. He was laid to rest on last week. Congratulations to Eric G. White of Touch of Keys. He awarded quite a few honorees out there, one of them being the artist and songwriter Major. Councilmember Boney and myself were present to represent Missouri City along with our state rep as Councilmember Boney presented recognition certificates to Eric and all of the honorees. And then lastly, I want to say, everybody make sure y'all pay y'all taxes because Missouri City don't have no extra money to help y'all. Make sure y'all take care of business. And then lastly, thank you to the Hindu community that invited me out on yesterday. They wanted to learn more about Black history as well as women in history. So I had an opportunity to sit with them for about 35, 40 minutes to talk to them about the history of African Americans versus Black people, as well as talk about women in history. So thank you so much for that invitation. And lastly, happy birthday, Anthony Snipes, celebrating your 20th birthday at the Women in Jazz Black and Bling birthday party. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you. Recognizing Councilmember Jeffrey L. Boney, District B.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, attended the Ridgeview Park dedication. I want to thank also CenterPoint Energy and our superstar forester, Paul Wisbecki, for always, representing Missouri City well and taking care of our trees and all of our other, green space across the city of Missouri City. We really appreciate him. Also, held our Texas Parkway Cartwright Corridor meeting. Very, very productive conversations, and we really appreciate Herman and his team for making sure that we're able to have some substantive dialogue and conversations to help move that corridor forward. I also attended the Touch of Keys Scholarship event. I was able to deliver certificates of recognition to the founder of Touch of Keys, Eric Wright, and one of the people who actually came out of his Sounds of Creation group that was founded through Touch of Keys, our national recording artist, Major, if you're familiar with Major. And so he was one of the honorees as well as Missouri City's own Charity Carter. We really, we're excited to see her be honored as well. I want to also say I attended the Houston-Galveston Area Council two-day board retreat in Galveston. We were discussing ways to improve the region. But of course, I'm always trying to figure out a way to get us some more money here in Missouri City. So it was very productive conversation and meeting. I'm looking forward to a lot of things that came out of that board retreat. And last, I too want to wish former city manager Anthony Snipes a happy birthday. And my daughter, we were able to celebrate her 26th birthday, and my sons will be on the 28th. So, they're getting older and more out of my pocket. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Recognizing District C Councilmember Anthony Rose.
I want to start off by thanking Sashi and team for the new traffic light at Highway 6 in Colonial Lakes. We got away from the old technology, and we have a whole new set of lights out there. So thank you. A very busy intersection. A reminder to attend the new code adoption on the 17th. Learn more about the codes, but what's really going to be nice is there's be inspectors and permit reps there, so an opportunity to interact with staff. And then the shredding event this weekend held by Missouri City Green. And then on a more serious note, I know council here, and I do continue to pray for peace in the Middle East. Over the weekend, it was just another mess in Ukraine and Russia. There's still a war. It's actually still during Orthodox Easter. And so during the holiest part of the time, there's still war, there's still conflict, and we continue to pray for peace across the world, and especially in the Middle East. That's my comment.
All right, thank you. Recognizing District D, Councilmember Forward Emery.
Yes, I also attended the fire department and the police department child abuse event that was held Saturday. Good turnout. The DJ that was doing all the spinning was doing tunes that I didn't even recognize and couldn't dance to. So I had to just shake his hand and walk away. But he did a great job. I want to give appreciation to the city manager's office for the workshop that we put together. You put together to provide information to the Estates of Silver Ridge HOA. It was, I think, just about every department head from the city was there to be able to not only make a presentation, but also to answer any of the questions that the HOA had. And it's my hopes that that information is not only, or that is shared with the rest of the residents of the HOA, because if they're working from less current information, obviously they're going to be asking the same questions that have been answered. So thank you for bringing that group together. I was remiss last week, or last meeting, so I want to give a belated thank you to the staff for the Quail Valley La Quinta drainage and maintenance workshop that they put together at Quail Valley. It brought, I think, a lot of information that they hadn't heard or hadn't seen, but were really interested in what was going on. So I think that was a very fruitful and event that brought a lot of information. Again, the Parks Department, Ridgeview Park, thank you for pulling that together. Centerpoint's a great partner that we have. They donate so many trees, not only in Ridgeview Park, but also across the city. So we've got a great partner there in that. And Paul Weserbeck takes great pride in his parks, and he displayed that at the event. And let's see. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment, and let me get to it, if you don't mind. First of all, the time is 10:28. I want to thank the Estates of Silver Ridge, the residents that came in to speak public comments, and you're still here. We have to be here, but the fact that you're here says a lot about your commitment to your neighborhood. So we hear you. We understand. There's been several emails, several conversations that has been taking place back and forth, and just want to let you know that hang in there. And the reason I went to, I said, give me a little minutes to talk about, I had the opportunity to see something recently shared by our fire department on something that I thought it was important. I'm going to stay away from all the other comments, which was today we celebrate a truly momentous occasion as Missouri City firefighter and specialist Charles Jackson took his final flight as an Army combat medic. After dedicating 20 years of unwavering service to our nation, Charles is hanging up his uniform, but not his commitment to service. We are incredibly fortunate that Charles will continue to serve our community as a firefighter where he will continue to serve our citizens with the same honor and dedication he displayed in the Army. His experience, skill, and compassion make us all safer and more secure. And the reason I read that is this is Missouri City. This is our staff. And Charles is just one, but we got 480 of them. This is what they represent. They represent our city, our citizens. Each of us, before sitting up here, we are citizens first before we have these titles that given to us by you. So we salute you guys. We thank you for your service and appreciate everything that you do. With that, I end my comment.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't do this again. The time that I was going to do this, Councilmember Maroulis was not here, but I think he deserves to be acknowledged. Back on March 1st, and he had missed one of the meetings in which I was going to do this, but he and his biomedical engineering team at Houston Methodist were awarded Department of the Year across nationally by Tech Nation. And I think that deserves a huge, huge round of applause because, as Mayor just said, you know, we do more than just serve on City Council. We all serve in various fields and whatever, but that deserves huge recognition and applause. So congratulations.
Awesome.
Hit that very
Thank
much,
you.
y'all. Show that logo real quick. G, baby. Thank y'all so much.
All right. So, okay. So we're going to go ahead and with no other further business, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 10:32 p.m.